we will be covering the bones and the bony landmarks of the hip and pelvis. So first, let's start with our bones. Your thigh bone is called the femur. So this entire part, these bumpy protrusions, that's all part of your femur, all the way up into the socket. Also included in the hip unit are our pelvis. It almost looks like a heart. They are three separate bones that fuse together. The first kind of looks like ears or elephant ears. This is called your ilium, this entire piece. This right in front is called the pubis, followed by what kind of looks like sunglasses or a mask, your ischium. So again, ilium, pubis, and then part of like the mask, that is your ischium. They are three separate bones at birth, and as you age, coming close to your adult years, these bones have fully formed and fused together. Even though it's not a part of this unit, I just wanted to point out from the anterior view, this right in here is your sacrum. This is the front part of your sacrum, and on the bottom there is your coccyx. So just so that you know. So your hip bone comes together because of the ball and socket. And so you can see that we have the head of the humerus, the round ball-like, and then the actual socket inside where the pen is going into, that is called your acetabulum. That's the socket part. Now that we know the three bones of the pelvis, ilium, ischium, and pubis, and we know the thigh bone is called the femur, now we can work on some of the bony landmarks of our femur. We are going to start with the head of femur or femoral head. Right in here is the neck of the femur or femur neck. Then this protrusion is a very large protrusion, mostly in blue. This is your greater trochanter. Greater trochanter. Underneath is that little protrusion called lesser trochanter. So you have your greater trochanter, and underneath in blue your lesser. Greater and lesser. Makes a lot of sense. There are other areas on the femur, but not until we get towards the middle to lower. The middle of the femur is the shaft. So this entire long piece is called the shaft. The shaft of the femur. That's not necessarily a bony landmark. That's just what the middle of a long bone is called. It's called the shaft. On the backhand side, the posterior side, we have a groove. I guess you would call it like a groove, or it looks like a line that comes off that back end. And you can see the dark charcoaly color of this line. It comes to an edge. I'll turn sideways in a moment, but it kind of comes to a point where you can kind of see that edge. and I'm gonna kind of come back a little bit. You can see how it's thinner and then it almost splits off into like a triangle. And the color shading really gives you a good look-see. So up there towards the top, you're going to see that that main one line is called linea aspera. So linea aspera is that main line that you're seeing. And then they kind of splits into two. It's not as visible up on top, but there is a medial and a lateral lip of linea aspera, as well as into that lower portion as well. So from this posterior side, I can really get a good look-see of a lesser trochanter, and I can get a really good look-see of that greater trochanter. And you get a really great view of the neck, and then you get a nice view of the femoral head.